welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my man Larry.
Back in the studio to do it again, folks.
Are you an influencer?
I'm an influencer, Nick.
There you go.
People listen to me and what I have to say.
I have yet to figure out why people would listen to this and think my opinion matters. I've said that time and time again to people's faces, like, my opinion.
You know what? You got to believe your own hype, Nick. You got to believe your own hype, man. I learned this from Gary Lamb. Seriously, I studied Gary Lamb when he's not being a dick.
Oh, is that what that's what you're gonna go with? All righty. Well, anyway, if you want to believe my hype, Myron, listen, all my hype, I hide it in. Look, I hide it over on YouTube, man. If you look, there's a question that's going to come up here that you're going to love my retort when I say, if you were a paid member on YouTube, you would have seen the answer to this question earlier in the week, right? Because I cut a video on it last week. So yeah, you get stuff early, like this video, hella early, by the way. And we will explain why here, but over on youtube.com/C backed out, tapped out wrestling. By the way, Myra, did you know you can do handles at Tapped Out Pod over there as well? So that's
like the
new,
big bottles
some
of
new
liquor
feature they came up with. What the fuck ever.
Okay.
It's youtube.com/at Tapped Out Pod or some shit like that or whatever. But anywho, but hey, before we get started and get jumping in, Myron, listen, I apologize in advance. You can probably tell that I'm sick. I got this congestion thing going on. I'm hoping I can get through an entire episode. 2, yes, we're recording this show massively early because I am going out of town on vacation. So we won't even tell you when we recorded this thing.
What are you packing, though? Are you packing your supplements?
I am packing my supplements, Myron. And you know which ones I'm packing? Can you guess?
What's that?
Athletic Greens.
Athletic Greens?
You're going to need a smaller cabinet because now you can take all those supplements you're taking or not taking and replace them with this. AG1 by Athletic Greens brings 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens together in one place. It might just be the most comprehensive and convenient nutritional regimen on the planet. Immunity supporting, recovery enhancing, digestion improving, energy lifting. Made to the strictest quality standards. Made New Zealand. Made for just about everybody.
That's right, man. I make sure I'm packing those things. Hopefully by the time we actually leave, we'll be feeling better. And that's because you always feel better when you're pumping in your AG1, your Athletic Green stuff, man. Get them all. It keeps you from having to take all of those supplements and all that stuff at once. You could just sit there and take that one boom and you're done. One and done, as I like to call it. So it
would save me a lot in my pill box, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Here's something I was thinking about packing for WrestleCade. I was able to find a bottle of Buffalo Trace bourbon. And I was like, I should bring that to WrestleCade and share it with our friends. If y'all are interested, guys, let me know. Might do it. Might see if we can book another match in the hotel room like we did last year because we had beer in the room.
By the way, if you're a wrestler and you book a match with me, you'll end up on Raw the next year.
Yes.
That's how that works.
I'm pretty sure Nick got Doc Gallows re-signed.
There was secret footage recorded of that match, and that's what Triple H saw, and that's what Triple H re-signed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see Enzo back.
He saw Gallows' bumping skills, and because by the way, Gallows and Anderson were signed for their bumping skills. And that's what they saw. They saw his in our match. So that's what it was.
Oh, that's the best place to see it.
But hey, we wanted to, we went back to the mailbag. We're trying to catch up because there's going to be a funky schedule here for the next couple of weeks. We apologize for all that in advance, but I think we're still going to try to keep you happy. And I think we'll do a pretty good job of it. So we're going to dive right into the mailbox again.
Is there another letter from Durwood? Did Durwood not send anything?
Derwin didn't send us one this week. Derwin, listen, Derwin's always hitting me up on email. Keep sending those emails, Derwin. Lots of times I'll answer him personally. I'll just respond back with an email. But he knows if there's one on there. I try to mix it up though. We got a bunch of questions this week. We actually got like seven questions to go through.
Well, let's see if we can get through them all with our normal time constraints.
Yeah.
I will start with Austin from Falkville, Alabama. I don't know where Falkville, Alabama is. I grew up in Alabama. It's across the border from Georgia. Now that the Usos have beaten the New Day's record for the longest reign in WWFE history, Do you consider them the best tag team of all time? Now, this is a loaded question.
Yes.
Austin.
I think you're probably, it's loaded because you've probably in the past heard me. I do say on a regular basis, I think they're the best pure tag team in wrestling right now. And I know some people don't like that. And that's, look, because here's the, by the way, my opinion. Hello, just my opinion.
But you're saying, you're quantifying your statement, Nick.
What?
You're not just saying they're the best. You're saying they're the best in wrestling now.
Correct. There's a reason I say that, Myron, because I want to throw in a disclaimer. I would debate you. They may not be the best tag team in their family.
Oh.
People, you got to think about it. A, you've got the Wild Samoans to think about, who, when we were kids, dude, they were scary as shit to watch.
Oh, yeah. I remember when wrestling was really scary. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, when you could be scary. And then B, everybody, I think, like, it, and I understand why in today's time and things happen, but it kind of drifts off in your brain that, like, the Samoan SWAT team is their family. You know, and I'm like, I mean, like, their WCW run, I think their WCW run's better than their WWE stuff. Like when they had those, when they were wrestling like the Steiners and Doom and that kind of, those matches to me were up there with some of the best. I think the SWAT team is, so that's, to my argument would be, I don't know that the Usos are the, I mean, look, I get it. They've got title runs and, you know, links and reigns and totally different scenarios. And, you know, but I think it's a tough conversation to have that they're even the best team in their own family.
If I were to do a top 10 tag teams of all time, I probably would put them in it. But it's going to be a very crowded top 10 tag teams of all time because there's so many good ones. And you said Doom, you said the Steiners in that conversation.
We've done this in the past. We've done a top 10 tag teams. Is it time to redo this now that, like, because it's been a few years?
Those are so hard though, because we're comparing like apples and bananas, and oranges and watermelon, because wrestling is not a quantifiable thing like football or baseball. I can't tell you who has the most submission holds, but I can tell you who has the most home runs. Okay. I mean, I can look it up. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah, but here's the argument. We talked about this off air a little bit, that even then, you can't, it's still not apples to apples because, you know, nutrition and, you know, and in people were playing in T-ball leagues and, you know, summer leagues and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, there's so many different, and by the way, they were juiced to the gills when they were crushing home runs.
Are we comparing Babe Ruth to Mark McGwire, Nick?
People try to, and I just don't think it's fair. But yeah, people try to all the time.
And wrestling's the same. Wrestling to me is the same way. It's even more because we're in an age of super high technology, super high nutrition. Also, sports medicine is better than it's ever been before.
Okay.
More developed. Okay. You saw how big the old Samoans were. Remember? Samoans were always big old fat dudes. Usos, not an ounce of fat on their whole body. It's not, I don't think you can compare, but I do think they're a phenomenal tag team. If we were to list top 10,
my favorite now,
top 10 active tag teams. Okay.
Oh, that's not even close.
Usos,
I'll tell you, they're number one.
New Days. Yes. FTR. It'll take me a minute, but I don't remember everything anymore.
So,
but they're heels. They're really good heels, though, and they did a great job. And this whole thing they're building for the War Games matches at Survivor Series, can't wait.
Yeah. So Austin, my take is simply is I don't know all time. I wouldn't say necessarily. I mean, but here's the argument: if you told me you thought they were the best of all time, I wouldn't argue with you.
It's opinions.
Yeah.
Wrestling is the most opinionated sport in the world, Nick.
Yeah. So much so, Myron, we got another question that's going to dive into that a lot later.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Question number 2. Colby from Waynesville, Ohio, has asked, are you guys surprised Shotzi is the new #1 contender for SmackDown's Women's Championship?
Not in the least.
We were honestly able to see her at the Landmark Arena wrestle live before she got signed. Phenomenal match with Effie. I don't care for intergender wrestling, but she's such a ballsy badass. She almost, it was good. It was believable. She did it. She pulled it off. Her finishing move is super cool. So what do you think, Nick? Why are you not surprised, Nick?
Well, I think, yes, everything you said about we dig her as a talent, right? Like we do.
Yes.
But I also had somebody on the inside say Triple H loves Shotzi Blackheart because she is a historian of wrestling. Like, she loves wrestling. I don't mean likes. She loves wrestling. And I've heard that there are long, lengthy conversations between those two about just matches and, like, wrestling. And because we all know Triple H is a true student of the game. When I know that term gets tossed around a lot, but
he is the game.
He is the game, right? But he's a true student of it. And I think she's earned her spot from more like her passion for it outside, as well as the talent inside the ring. So it does not.
And how can you not love the tank? She has a tank, for Christ's sake.
Right.
Okay. She's got charisma. She's got talent. She's got an inside with the boss. So that's how it works.
Yeah,
that's how it would work at my job.
Simple. But so I'm not. I heard this story a few weeks back, and when I it's one of those like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And next thing you know, she's becoming number one. Like, all right, that makes sense now.
Yes. Yeah. Nick's always doing research off the books, folks. This man knows so much about professional wrestling gossip, you would not believe it.
Well, I try to stay out of the gossip, but it happens.
Craig from Crystal, Minnesota. Can you believe Road Dogg said he was better than Bret Hart? This is where Nick McDaniel is going to go on a tangent. Tangent starting now.
First of all, the first tangent would be, if you were a paid member on YouTube, you would know this already. You'd know my response because I cut a video on it at the end of, sorry, I have to do the time travel thing here in my head. Last week, I did a video at the end of last week about this. And it was kind of funny. It was super passionate because we had just come off like the election stuff. So I was having like PTSD out of that, about reaction. So it was kind of a blur the lines between the two topics, I felt like. But listen, it's now that I guess the paid members have had this for a while now, so I guess my take was like, it's clearly the epitome of people. You were talking about clickbait, how everything's a headline and people click on it. And my argument was, if you read the quote and you just started commenting, you did yourself a great disservice. Because I've said, listen, I openly tell you, I listen to way too many podcasts at this point. I have way too much time.
I don't see how you got the time. You listen to almost every one.
Listen, I listen to a lot of Conrad's podcasts, and I listen to some that are not Conrad's podcasts. For lots of reasons, by the way. And every one that I listen to, I specifically have like a reason and a thought process. But I'm very entertained by Road Dogs. I am. I very much am. But the reason I'm saying all this was because the context of what he said prior to that statement and everything he said after that quote literally put it in context. And anybody that was reacting in a super negative way, I think completely is the part of the problem, because he prefaced it all with, Bret Hart is 10 times the wrestler I ever was or will be, but I think I'm a better sports entertainer, and everybody knows that's where I think the money's at.
New Age Outlaws were phenomenal.
He apologized.
Yes.
He said, I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel. It's what I believe. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry. But it was like, it's just what he thinks. And God forbid we let anybody have a differing opinion, because if you differ, your opinion differs from me, you're just an idiot.
That's what politics is. That sounds just like politics. Because one of the reasons we get along is we have very different political opinions, but we don't shame the other person when we talk about politics. We both listen to the other person's opinion and then discuss it. Most people can't do that in political discourses
That's
right
correct.
now. And that's why we're in the situation in this country we're in my opinion, is because nobody listens to the other guy.
Right.
But I'm a huge Armstrong mark. Road Dogg's an Armstrong. I just ordered, if you look at the ticker on the top, I just ordered me a Bullet Bob Armstrong shirt off where, Nick?
ProWrestlingTees.com.
Exactly. So go to there, get you some tapped out shirts. But I got a Bullet Bob Armstrong. How cool is that shirt coming? I wish I'd had that shirt as a kid. They have so many stores, guys. Go over there and buy some stuff. Buy some stuff for Christmas. Get some stuff for yourself. Get some tapped out shirts. Give everybody in your family tapped out shirts. But I don't think anybody besides Road Dogg would be in a spot like this where he was on the inside when all of this stuff was happening, right?
Yeah, no. This was like, by the way, here's the funny part is, it happened kind of 2 weeks in a row, two different conversations that kind of led to this, I think, were a lot of the controversy. But they were discussing the Montreal Screwjob this week, or this past week.
25th anniversary.
We were recording this.
Right? Yeah.
And he was there. He wrestled, by the way. He wrestled at the beginning of that night. He was there.
So he's an insider. And this is the job I want, Nick. My dream job is to listen to all these podcasts and mine for quotes that I can make clickbait of. No, seriously. Eric Bischoff got hit with his stuff. Road Dogg gets hit with this. People listen to these podcasts, take excerpts out of them, and then make entire website posts out of it.
Right.
And then they have advertisers that advertise on these people's websites. It's brilliant.
It's funny because the clickbait draws the clicks, which get the advertisers, so that gets the money. And that's why they continue to do it. Like, we can complain all we want about clickbait and whatever, but my answer's always been, you do realize if you just quit clicking on it, like, they would quit making advertising money and they would quit doing it.
But it's hard, Nick, because there's
not.
always, look at so-and-so in a strapless silver dress and her thing was stunning, or learn what Bret Hart said about our learn butts and wrestling. You know, Tony Schiavone is not the only person that talks about those things.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, over the years, like, if I see an article about, like, I know this sounds dumb, hottest women in wrestling or sexiest out, and I'm like, I have no interest. And it's not because of, but it's just like, you know, I love how, anyway, never mind. I'm not going down that rabbit hole of my problems with, like, well, we're going to be all political correct, but then we're going to, wrestling posts about, like, which chick's the hottest, like, thumbs up or
butt
heart,
cracks,
or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
wrestling's at a different time where it's a sport where people pretend to hit each other, and we also want to be politically correct so we can make advertising money. But then you get an unpolitically correct and you get more advertising money too. So
listen,
you ever going to promote a show again, Nick?
No, no, no. But hey, I don't want to push you through to the next question, but the next question stems right into the even more of the same issue.
Oh, Jesus Christ. This has been something that's been in my feed a lot lately.
Yeah.
Howard from Tucson, Arizona asks, now that Paige is officially in for Full Gear, what are your thoughts on her being cleared? Okay, folks.
I tried not to chuckle. I was pretty actually successful at it because, you knew all of the other stuff was coming. Like, all of the comments we knew they were coming. It is what it is. But then, like, I saw one, I think I sent it to you, where people are talking about, like,
yes.
She doesn't want to take moves, from behind because, does that sound like somebody who's clear? And I'm like, again, it goes back to, clearly this is somebody who read a quote and didn't actually read the article or see the interview or whatever, because she specifically stated it wasn't because she's not taking moves because she's worried she's going to get hurt. She doesn't want to take moves from behind because she's not comfortable yet, kind of PTSD from something from behind, because remember, Sasha kicked her in the back and that's what caused the neck injury. So she just doesn't want anything coming at her from behind. And I know, hold it in. But my thing was, it's like, know what you're angry about. Like, you can't say, oh, well, she doesn't sound like she's cleared. No, she's cleared. She just doesn't. Mick Foley has said he didn't like German suplexes. He didn't like anything that dropped him on the back of his head like that. Now I'm like,
well, who the hell would like that in the first place?
Right, but that's
yeah,
my
I can
point.
see where there's trauma involved. If you've been in a car accident, you're not going to want to get back in a car. Okay? If you fell downstairs, you're not going to want to walk downstairs. I get it. But why would she come back? She's cleared, but she doesn't want to.
Listen, she just doesn't. And here's the thing, though. I think that Daniel Bryan, has he made? We don't know that he might not have said, "Hey, you could do this, but nobody's dropping me on my head. Like no more Germans." I know he didn't say that because I think I've seen him take a one or two along the way here. But you know what I'm saying? There might be something he's like, "Okay, guys, I'm not comfortable doing X, Y, or Z anymore." Would we be making a big deal out of it?
No,
probably not. By the way, she was cleared by like one of the best doctors in the country. So, I mean,
James Andrews.
No, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was considered one of the best spinal like doctors in the country or whatever. And I'm like,
I haven't seen her medical records, Nick. I haven't seen any evidence. I have not seen why she shouldn't be cleared. But if she doesn't want to take a German or she doesn't want to get kicked in the back, what's the big deal? What is the big deal? This is just a clickbait article.
Exactly.
You know?
So, Howard.
And you saw when Sasha kicked her in the back. That looked like it hurt like hell.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a whiplash thing. I mean, so which makes perfect sense, right? Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't even watch. I haven't watched a lot of doctor TV since Doogie Howser and ER. So I don't know. I mean, I don't even know.
Well, that's where I learned most of my medical information.
Yeah.
I watched that Dr. Pimple Popper too. That's pretty cool.
I'm not surprised in the least. You know. So anyway,
I don't take any moves from behind either. So, Justin from Mount Washington, Kentucky, has asked us, as we near the end of the year and people are discussing PWI awards, is there any award that you guys think is already over?
Yeah.
Well, there's one in my opinion.
We shared this opinion,
and I think we share this.
Yeah, we have. I'll let you take that one.
Rookie of the year is Logan effing Paul. How many views did his video get across all of social media, Nick?
45. It was over like 45 at Friday.
Yeah, so they talked about it on the opening to Smackdown.
Yeah.
Okay. 45 million. I like a good week. We get we get that like 8,000-9,000 views on our YouTube. 45 million. They bring him in. Doesn't matter if he can wrestle or not. He got them 45 million views. The fact that he can put on an amazing match like he has, I think something special.
Yeah.
Did you hear the behind the scenes on why he is so good, Nick? The WWE sent a wrestling ring and Drew Gulak to Puerto Rico. He did train at the Performance Center, but apparently he stays in Puerto Rico.
Well, he lives there, yes.
Okay, so they sent him a ring and Drew Gulak.
Oh, by the way, he was also training with Gangrel in Miami sometimes when he was in there, too.
Yeah.
He kind of takes it a little bit serious.
Well, how you get 45 million views? Right place, right time, right person. That's why these guys get on there. This is why they bring in outsiders. This is why Cyndi Lauper was at WrestleMania #1, Nick. Okay? It's gone from Cyndi Lauper at WrestleMania #1 to Logan Paul at Crown Jewel.
Let me ask you this. Is it baffling to you at all that me and you are sitting here saying that we think Logan Paul is Rookie of the Year and he's wrestled 3 matches all year long?
Impact. Hook. Look at Hook. People were saying Hook's Rookie of the Year. Great. Hook's a good wrestler. He's a good worker. How many million views did he bring? How many people who don't know shit about wrestling watch some of Hook's social media? It's not always about the ring. Eric Bischoff says he doesn't like matches. I get it. but you had a reason. He likes matches with story. You had a reason to watch Logan Paul at Crown Jewel. He brought all his friends to watch online. All his followers watch Crown Jewel, or not Crown Jewel, but they watched the video.
It was the most watched international pay-per-view PLE of all time.
Twice the numbers Crown Jewel did last year.
Yeah.
Twice as many people watched it.
Why? Guess. Right? I'm like, come on. But like,
it was a great show.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. It was a phenomenal show. But you were telling me about Master P and Eric Bischoff and all that. Why was Eric Bischoff, what was he trying to do?
Bring in a different audience. And that's clearly what they've done. Like, you don't double a PLE in a year based off of the same audience. It's a new, some new people watched.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who have Peacock, by the way. And here's what people don't, and here's tangent number 2, right? People have Peacock that aren't wrestling fans. They already have it, by the way, just so you're aware. Hey, listen, me and the wife watch SVU on Peacock. We don't watch it live. We don't watch it on DVR anymore. We literally watch it on Peacock.
I come home from work some nights, and apparently SVU has been running for 12 hours on Peacock at my house.
Yeah.
Okay. Melissa works from home. She just leaves it on the TV all day long.
Right. And so my point being is then people that already just casually have it, like, wait, Logan Paul's going to be on? Okay, cool. And then they watch. Well, then they watch, and then they're like, because here's the thing, it tracks. Peacock's aware. Peacock sees how, obviously they just announced like how many people watched it, right? So the argument for that reason is it creates a value of why you would keep Peacock. That is the value now. There's no pay-per-view buys. There's none of that. The value for Peacock is people are watching it. And when people just drift over because to hit certain monumental numbers like that one, non-wrestling people had to watch Crown Jewel because Logan Paul's on it. Now, there may could have been for a million other reasons, right? Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, MMA people could have been like, oh, hell, they're going to wrestle, and they could have watched it. But again, they increased the growth of their audience because it was something from outside. As Bischoff was saying, back to your point, you can't grow your audience preaching to the choir. You got to go outside the church and bring in new people to increase the size of the people inside the church. Anyway, so that's kind of
people miss out on that because we're wrestling fans. Okay, we assume that every one of us is going to watch. And we don't go out. If you look at the religions go out and recruit new members. If wrestling is going to be our religion, if we're going to follow this so closely, we need to be out there every day introducing new people to professional wrestling without being creepy.
The church don't grow without new members.
Exactly.
That simple. So, anyway, what you got next, man?
What I have next is Cameron from Central City. What is OA?
Iowa. That's a typo from Nick.
Oh.
I know it's Iowa.
I thought it might have been in Canada or something. Sorry.
No.
Now that Roman Reigns has basically run through everyone in the last 2 years, who do you think should be the man to defeat him?
I want to answer that question, but before we do, I wanted to backpedal half into this. I shouldn't have asked you to move on because I wanted you to ask this question first. This is also, by the way, this will piss some people off. That's also your wrestler of the year, in my opinion.
Roman Reigns?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, for the last 3 years, in my opinion. Who's drawing more money? Who's worked with more people? Who's been consistent? Who's had the belt the whole time?
I just don't think anybody's had the run he's had this year.
No.
Now, had Cody returned at Mania, not got injured, went through his thing somehow, and maybe captured the belt by the end of the year, I could have seen the argument of his arc throughout the year could have gotten there. But at this point, I think, we said Logan Paul is hands down the rookie of the year. Then I think the same argument could be made that it's got to be Roman Reigns, as far as the rest.
I don't think you're serious if you're not saying it's Roman Reigns. I think you're voting with your heart, not your brain.
Everybody's got a right to their opinion, but that's just my opinion. That's my humble opinion at that point. So, anyways, to answer your question, listen, we've all heard the talk, right? Cody, The Rock, maybe, at Mania. on and on and on. Dude, I know this sounds messed up. They keep struggling on how you're going to get a belt off of him, right? Without
a belt or both belts going to be defended. Because that's the thing. They don't always qualify and say, this is a title match, but both belts, one belt will be defended. I need better, like, clearly, because, you know, if they don't define the rules, he's going to win.
If it were me and I was trying to get one of the belts off of him, one of the ways maybe to do it, and this is how, by the way, I also create the problems down the road if they're going to go this far. I say Cody Rhodes wins the Rumble, but he has to declare for one of the titles, not both. He can't declare for both. So then, let's say he says he's on Raw. He was on Raw, correct? Yeah, he was on Raw.
So which one has he had the longest? I can't remember. I thought he'd had the Raw
Universal's
belt
the one he's had the longest. Because then I think he beat Drew for the WWE title.
Okay.
So let's say Cody though is on Raw. So Cody says he's going to challenge for because he's always wanted the WWE title, the WWF title. That's the one that's the one Dusty was after. Remember the WWF title, and that's the belt he wants to get for Dusty. Like that's the belt he wants.
Okay.
So then the argument could be made. So if he's challenging for that title at Mania, then at Elimination Chamber, they put the Universal title up. And at and that match, and we'll get to there's possibly another show that we'll discuss the part of this little strategy out. But in the Elimination Chamber, you could have Roman in the match defending it in the Elimination Chamber, because he could lose without actually losing to being the final person out.
Yeah.
If he's one of the first two in there, and it could literally take 3 or 4 guys to beat him, and then he could get pinned, and then your eventual winner of the match would be the new champion. My twist on it, fuck it, make it Sami Zayn.
I can see Sami Zayn, because right now you heard them cheer for Sami Zayn on SmackDown. Sami Zayn has become the most over person in the WWE right now. Sami Zayn won me over after years of thinking he was a dork or some kind of weirdo. Too much. Sami Zayn won over Jim Cornette, for Christ's sake. Okay? I am a critic of professional wrestling. I don't have anywhere near both the venom and the established credentials of Jim Cornette. And he won over Jim Cornette with his work. He's the most over guy in wrestling right now. Putting the belt on him.
Even saying that, I'm going to let you finish, but even saying that, I still don't think anybody would see it coming.
No, not unless they listen to the show and you tipped them off.
I mean, I just think it would be a cool twist, to be honest with you. Just something out of the ordinary. Now, listen, you can put it on just randomly any other you could put it on somebody else in there. You could put it on a Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, something like that again. I'm just boring. Look, we've talked about Cody's probably going to get one of them, if not both of them, potentially. Look, I'm all about
put it in a 3-way match.
Huh?
Put it in a 3-way match with a challenger from SmackDown and a challenger from Raw.
I think you got to have a one-on-one on SmackDown or at Mania. Sorry, but listen, if we do record this, I don't think we're going to record it today, but I want to book Mania. I think down the road, and then on that show, I'll kind of dive in a little deeper on what I think should how I would do it. Not that matters.
Yeah, you are an insider.
No,
you are an insider, Nick. Most of the times you've booked shows like that, you've got pretty damn close to what the actual show was.
Maybe not. We'll see. So, all right, brother. What you got for the next question?
Jonas from Winsford, England. I love our international listeners. Thank you, people. Bon voyage, or what you say in England. Do you guys think it's time for the WWE to discontinue Money in the Bank?
Maybe. I actually, sad part is, no, I here's the logic. I actually, God forbid, Myron, I tried to look at it from a different angle and say, Why would it? Because at first it was like, why would they do that? I mean, they sell a shit ton of briefcases apparently on WWEshop.com. So, but then I started thinking though, does Money in the Bank slightly, and I don't mean a lot, does it slightly devalue the Rumble? Because if you don't win the Rumble, if you still win Money in the Bank, you still get you could still get a shot. You got
2 titles, Nick. They're both on Roman right now, but if they were on different people, you'd see it differently.
I don't know, because here's my argument. If I win the Rumble, the champion knows 2 months in advance, maybe 3, before you even get to the pay-per-view who he's wrestling that night. Money in the Bank, I can cash it in when he's got his ass whooped and he's laying there half dead. Which one would you really rather have? Listen, I'm total heel in the sense of saying, fuck that.
I'd rather have Money in the Bank. But I think, I'm going to give you a prediction. The whole thing with Austin Theory wasting his briefcase and joining the Waste the Briefcase Club is going to lead to Austin Theory and Cena at Mania.
I think so.
But I think it's a necessary evil. I think women, now that there's a women's and a men's, go ahead. What you got?
Nothing. It was just, I have to tell you off air, I just booked 2 matches for Mania in my brain as you said that, and it had nothing.
Yes.
You said Theory and Cena. I 100% acknowledged and said, yep. But then there was a person that I had in my brain. I mentioned to you off air about who I thought Cena could wrestle. And I just put him in another match with somebody else.
Jesus Christ. The fantasy booking is strong tonight, folks. Yeah. We've been, So you're going to enjoy the show, folks. You're going to get it early if you're a YouTube specialty member.
That's right, man.
But it's still a good show. I love the briefcase. I've actually been thinking about buying myself one of the little lunchbox ones and taking it to work every day to remind my boss to keep their eyes open. But, well, I got to.
They never know when you're going to cash in and take that manager spot.
I'm going to cash in and take
take them down 1, 2, 3. You're going to hit them over the head with the lunchbox, and you're going to pin them and take their job.
Well, it's justified. That's the rules, Nick. That's perfectly acceptable in society.
Yep. But anyways, listen. I think this is the Mania thing. I'll tell you once we go off air. And by the way, paid members, when we cut that WrestleMania show, you'll be the first ones to get it. Where will they get it, Byron?
YouTube.com.
That's right.
/C/Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Or you just put in Tapped Out Pod. I've searched our videos so many times. If I click on the YouTube search box, Nick, Tapped Out Pod comes up. How many of our fans can say that?
Yeah, Tapped Out. Go in and type Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Boom. The handle, as you know, the handles that they do now over there is Tapped Out Pod. Shockingly. Because, that's what it is on everything, all forms of social media. I wish we could do that somewhere on, the podcast platforms. Because, Myron, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartMedia, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, blah, blah. Pretty much anywhere and everywhere there's a podcast, we're there. We're asking if you are an audio podcaster, make sure you're subscribing. Make sure, you give us a thumbs up, liking it, reviewing it, give us that 5-star rating review. We greatly appreciate it. Same thing over on YouTube.
We look much better on your car stereo than we do on
That
YouTube.
is true.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the faces made for radio. That is correct. That is true.
Yes. But, guys, once again, getting to do this podcast has led to us having a 3-hour wrestling conversation. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, It is always a pleasure. I listen, man. I want to talk about it because we got a little bit of time before we get out of here. There's a new segment I thought about. I did that indie spotlight. I was kind of thinking maybe we start adding it to the end of the show every week. We start picking an indie wrestler and focusing on them and promoting them and give them a little shot right here at the end of the show. Because we like to talk a little bit about indie wrestling as well, as much as we kind of get out and try to go to them. Again, if you've listened this long, you deserve the right to know that we recorded this thing on Saturday because, obviously, I said I'm going on vacation next week. Luckily, one of the kids is going to hang here, so the house, so we'll have somebody here. to check mail and all that kind of crap, because you know how it is when you're gone for that long. But that's, you get it early if you're a YouTube member, blah, blah, blah. But I think, like it would be cool in the future to start promoting, like there's guys out there, man.
Definitely.
Like, look, I mean, I want to get, and listen, it's funny because I start throwing out names. I'm like, oh, you didn't say my name. And I'm like, I know, we'll get there. But like, I mean, I want guys like, I want to do this show we talked about, Myron, about people to look out for in 2023, stuff like that.
Oh.
Look, I mean, names like, Hunter James and Skrilla the Great. I mean, like, is anybody working harder than Skrilla? I know that's so cliche.
No. And also, Skrilla seamlessly promotes himself. I complained. I went on a rant on Facebook because wrestlers will post a video of where they're going and not make it shareable. Wrestlers will post a video and not tag in the guy. One of us, look, I got to give the people at IWE one thing. Josh always tags me and you when he posts his card and his posters.
Yeah.
I don't care where your promotion is. Tag me and I'll share it.
So, and it's funny,
Skrilla,
that card's happening, by the way, like tonight as we record.
Yes.
But you will never be surprised. Like, there's certain promotions that I always tell people, you'll always know when Southern Honor runs. You'll always know when IWE runs. Viral does a good job. Southern Fried does a good job. They put it out there like when their shows run regularly. And I think that's a huge, massive plus.
And Wrestle America is doing a great job.
That's correct.
The guys from Wrestle America were on the show. I had a lot of fun with them. Folks, you're going to make something shareable. But my point was, Skrilla sends me his videos.
Bingo.
Hanson sends me his promos. If you go out of your way to send me something, damn straight I'm going to repost it.
Yeah.
The match he had with Naja at Deep South. Now I want to go to Deep South.
Watch along.
Yes.
Seriously, like somebody went out of their way to send us a thing. I'm like, okay, there's a fucking watch along.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying, if you're a YouTube member, you'll see it first. It'll be on the the YouTube channel at some point, real soon. So keep all that in mind, folks. But anyway, sidebar. I thought about adding that. I think that would be something cool little twist to add to the show going forward. So always looking to try to get some get some exposure bucks for people, because that's how we get paid in wrestling. It's exposure bucks. So
exactly. We're the Daddy Warbucks of exposure bucks.
There you go.
We're sitting up here in our vaults.
Yeah.
Live from the vaults of exposure bucks.
Exactly. Well, that's all I got. You got anything else, brother, before we get out of here?
I got nothing else.
Nope. What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.